Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to an SJU coming to you live from rainy Los Angeles and the UK. I assume it's also raining, right, Kim?
Always, yeah.
We are here to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is the Oscars and the big moment everyone is talking about, the 28-year anniversary of Pulp Fiction. It happened, folks. They got them back together at the year 28 mark.
As we do.
Was released. John Travolta danced awkwardly. Discuss. Look, we do want to talk about the winners, our reactions to the actual ceremony itself, but everything kind of boils down to one loud, sharp crack across our television screens that we would be remiss if we didn't address right off the top, because it's probably the craziest thing I've seen in an Oscar ceremony, and I thought announcing the wrong Best Picture would be the craziest thing I saw in my lifetime. But no. Will Smith and Chris Rock, two grown men in their 50s, basically, Will, you can see him here laughing, having a good time, but something changed in the mood in the studio, and he walked up and slapped Chris Rock across the face. I went through several phases here. Phase one being, well, that was a weird joke. Phase two being, okay, he really slapped him, but it was like a planned bit and they're gonna like call back to it later. Phase three being, oh my God, Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock live on stage at the Oscars. What is happening? Let's give us our first blush reactions. We'll go in order. Danielle, what did you think when it first happened?
Well, so on my feed, it just like stopped on Chris Rock. Like before, like you see him, like the last word I hear is like, Richard. And then like it stops. And I'm like, what happened? And so I'm trying to like go through and I'm thinking that my internet's messed up. And then it kind of comes back choppy and it comes back with, it's silent. And like, this is the part where Chris Rock is talking. And then you see Will Smith say that you just see him mouth it. And so I go on Twitter and I'm like, what did I miss? And everyone was like, did that just happen? It was like when there's an earthquake in Los Angeles and you just have to go on Twitter to confirm it. So yeah, then I went and saw that, and then almost immediately someone posted the uncensored version from both Australia and Japan, and I watched those.
Yes, thank you to Australia for having the Southern Hemisphere angles on it, so you could actually see and hear everything that was happening. Props to them.
It was either the one from Japan is even better because it's like it's not like someone recording a TV screen. I love that we're talking about this the same way you talk about like leaks from like someone's cell phone, where it's like, oh yeah, no, they're different angles. Yep. But yeah, so then it happened, and then everyone was like, oh, it's fake, and of course all of my wrestling friends were like, I don't know, I'm not sure.
I know a fake slap when I see one.
I know a fake slap when I see one. So it was definitely like, if this is a work, they're doing it the hard way. But so those were my initial like impressions. And then it was just like, I got to get these jokes off before someone else does the one I want to do. I want to be first on the hack line.
Look, what a great night for comedy. Aside from the rest of it, it really has the power to move people. I will say that it affects us all, no matter how old or famous you may be. Eric, what was your take us through your slap?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously similar. I also thought it was a bit when it first happened. But then they dropped the audio, which meant that there was cursing. But then the audio was dropped out for so long. I was like, well, if Chris Rock just said one little curse, why are we not hearing still? Because it turns out that it was Will Smith repeating himself a couple times with what he thought. And then, yeah, I see on Twitter the actual clip. I'm in absolute disbelief because I go, this is real. And then, of course, it was just like, the Oscars is continuing. And you're just like, but one of the most famous movie stars in the world just slapped one of the most famous comedians in the world live on stage at the Oscars. How are we continuing here? And I felt really bad for Questlove because he's winning an award and being emotional about it. Well-deserved a moment later. But I know I was not able to be in that moment with Questlove because I was like, what is happening? What is going on here? So
yeah, he fully forgot the names of the people who were on stage with him, which also made me laugh.
Understandable. I kept thinking about what is it like being in the Dolby, because we're all freaking out at home, but people are like very famous people are sitting there seeing this altercation between two very famous people. What a weird night.
Yeah.
What a strange series of events. Kim, I hope you were not up watching this live though, because this was like 3 a.m. for you, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Right. So I woke up to the Twitter feed and immediately watched the clip, and it wasn't censored here. So I taped the show and watched my recording. So it was not censored. And I watched it many times over. And I didn't at any point think actually that it could have been fake until I listened to Will Smith's acceptance speech. And I thought, whoa, this is all perfectly orchestrated for this speech he's giving. But you know, absolutely, Chris Rock had no idea. He was completely thrown off by what had just happened. That was obvious. You know, kind of, he did well to recover, I think, but he was struggling to get his words out.
Well, you say perfectly orchestrated, but like, I thought that the speech, maybe he should have crossed out the lines of being a vessel of peace and love.
Yeah, don't say God told you to smack somebody upside the head.
I was trying to figure it out because he brought up God, but he also brought up the devil. So I'm like, which one is he saying? Or is he saying Chris Rock is the devil? I couldn't figure out who was the battle for Will's soul here was pretty intense. You know, what was going on.
People in chat, and keep the comments and questions coming. Alexander Day writes in all caps, these people actually believe it wasn't a bit. I don't. I mean, I think that once you hear the uncensored version, and like when he really yells, keep my wife's name off your effing out of your effing mouth, and everybody just gets like quiet, and like, I gotta think Chris Rock, if it was a bit, would have had some type of comeback or a call, or they started to. He started to.
I've watched this thing like the Zapruder film. So I've looked at it from
frame by frame.
From every angle. So when he immediately goes and rocks Chris in his dome, Chris like steps back and you see him almost start to get into fighting stance, and then you can watch him remember where he is. Then Will Smith goes down and Chris is like starting to kind of roll with it and improvise. Oh,
this is not age appropriate.
Chris is starting to like improvise, like he's about to like take the heat off, and then Will starts yelling. And the moment when Chris says, he's like, take my wife's name out your mouth, and then Chris says, I'm going to, and then he and then he does this thing where he starts to talk and you can tell he's about to make a joke. And then he looks, and I'm guessing either like he saw something on the prompter, or he saw like a director say something. Because the moment he goes like, ooh, I could, like he's about to start saying something to do a joke, and then he cuts himself off. So he was like, he was ready to go. He was ready to fire off. And I already know what the joke probably would have been. So.
Oh, do tell.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and guess it's an entanglement joke, right?
Yeah,
like that was gonna be the joke that he was gonna make, because we all were thinking it. I think I tweeted it. Like that was clearly, he was clearly gonna make fun of that situation, and then he like, again, either because he stares off into space for a second, so either like he saw something on the prompter or heard something in his ear, but clearly it was enough for him to be like, okay, time and place, tell a joke, and then move on.
I mean, the weird / like scary thing for me is that Will Smith laughs at the joke, and the way it was shot, at least the angles I saw, it's like he's laughing. He's even, I think he claps even, and then it cuts back to Chris Rock, and then something happens off camera where he like goes from laughing, haha, like take your shots, whatever, to like, I'm marching up there and gonna slap you in the face.
I mean, I think he probably looked at Jada, who was stone faced. No, we should address, of course, her alopecia and why that would be very upsetting for her. Did Chris Rock know that? I'm guessing no, but I don't know. I didn't know that, but that's what I have to assume, because Will Smith's laughing, she's very not laughing, and it just feels like when they cut back to Chris Rock, he must turn, look at her, and then it's like, that's it. Like, everything changes, because it's a pretty intense few seconds.
Yeah, she's been talking about it, I want to say, for the last year and a half, like a lot, because if you see on Red Table Talk a lot, like sometimes she'll be wearing like a turban or like a scarf, and it really affected her. Like if you follow the Smiths, which I get that not everyone does, because not everyone is super into millionaires or billionaires, but it's been something that she's been talking about like all the time, and how upset it's making her, and like the way that it's changed like her self-esteem and the way that she views herself. But yes, no, Will is clearly like laughing, and then he looks over, and then it's like, oh, I gotta go smack a dude in the mouth. I'll be right back.
Well, I guess the question now is like, what's next? What happens now? I guess like what's done is done. Like the votes were already cast. It's not like they could be like, well, you're not the best actor of the year anymore. Does the Academy I mean, they've apologized, or not, the Academy's apologized. They've said like, hey, violence is bad. We want to honor everybody else. But like, any consequences, anything going forward from this? Should they put comedians in a literal safe space next year where they have some type of Hannibal Lecter style shield?
I feel like the days of, I mean, people will still do it because that's how comics are. But I feel like the days of just going like, oh yeah, just let them improvise because they're really funny. They're really going to be checking the jokes from now on, I think.
I'll push back on that, if only to say that like, for all the hand wringing, like everybody comes out looking pretty bad, except for the Academy, not the Academy, but the people who want the Oscars to be like a talked about, like watched broadcast. They're like, okay, who can we get to fight next year?
Yeah, I don't think I saw people say, why would they have approved that joke of Chris Rock? I'm like, I don't think it was approved. I think he looked at Jada Pinkett sitting a few feet from him, bald, and made a stupid, very outdated G.I. Jane joke. Yeah. I'm like, dude, that reference is very old. I don't think that was like a written, scripted thing. But I forgot to mention how the other surreal thing about it was realizing Will Smith's going to win an Oscar soon because he was one of the most sure things we had last night. So that just, that added that whole extra layer to it. But I don't think they're going to take away the Oscar or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know.
What they should have done is remove him from the theater. I can't believe that he was allowed to remain.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're a celebrity. Yeah. When you're Will Smith, who's gonna make the call to kick Will Smith out of the theater?
Yeah. I saw people make this great comparison of like, if a dude up for best sound design had done that, he was not gonna go back to his seat and enjoy the rest of the show. You know?
Yeah. No, he definitely like. That's a great point, Spencer. Like just the idea of like who comes up and is slyly like, hey, y'all gotta, like how do they do it? And also, I mean, I do wonder, maybe there's a bigger chance if they know that if they don't know he's gonna win. Because as soon as he was still there, I was like, oh well, he's winning. That's why they're not kicking him out. That's why, the Black Creator Caucus went over to him to like try to calm him down with like Denzel and I think Tyler Perry was part of it, and a bunch of other people just like, this isn't you or whatever. Wild.
How did they not though? I mean, I guess like if I were producing the Oscars, there's no way I'm not sending Chris Rock back out on stage.
You are a chaos demon.
There's no way I'm not be like, all right, Chris, like you've had 15 minutes to think of the bit, like go back out there.
Take the steak off your face.
Or make him do his regular stand-up. Like go out there and do his act, but not about the Oscars or anything, but just like do the first 15 minutes of your hour just to see what happens.
I mean, he's touring this summer with Kevin Hart, and I think I know some new material he's going to be including.
So there is a lot of other things I want to talk about, but like I guess finally, can we like predict the next move? Is it just a big apology from Will Smith or a half apology like in his speech, or what do we think his next moment is going to be from out of his camp, so to speak?
Well, they'll make up like at that party as Sean Combs suggested they would, He'll be the mediator. And they'll come out and make a nice joint statement and say how they're friends again and, family.
Maybe. I don't think
There's definitely a Rock Nation brunch happening like very soon where they're going to take care of all that stuff. No, I honestly, I mean, I was half joking when I said it, but they are that's part of what's so wild about this is that Will Smith has always had such a tightly managed public image that for him to go do something like this is also part of the reason why it's like, wow. I
think that's a part of why he wasn't like escorted out, because it's like it's just so shocking. It's like if Tom Hanks punched James Corden or something like that.
Oh man, now I want to see it.
Which I would love to see.
Next year.
So that'll be a bit next year, probably a scripted
bit next year. But no, I would, like I said, I was half joking, but I really do think that they're going to address it on Red Table Talk because that's how they address everything, because it's their space and they can take care of it. So they're going to do a Red Table Talk where they'll talk about some of it. He's going on Oprah sometime in the next 3 months. That we know that's going to happen. Yeah. It's not scheduled, but it's in the works right now. Like I'm telling you, I will bet money on it. In the next 3 months, he's going to be on Oprah talking about this.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, because their image is so cultivated. Yeah, it's like there's Will's worked on his Instagram the past few years. That post is coming. The red table conversation is coming. Again, I don't think this was planned at all, and this shows a very big deviation from their normal image. But now I think they will use that image to do sort of that whole discussion of it.
Yes.
And yeah, him and Chris Rock will at some point they'll probably do some sit down chat, and then they'll appear in a movie together in a wacky cameo.
Okay.
Just a strange Hollywood thing we'll go through.
Yeah.
He's gonna go on Will's YouTube channel, and they're gonna react to stuff together. It's gonna be great.
Unboxing.
Yeah, they're gonna do an unboxing video. It's gonna be awesome.
Alan L writes, bring back celebrity boxing. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think now's the time. Or just like, I think that like we had the fan vote for, the best Zack Snyder moment of the year. We should have the fans vote on who fights at next year's Oscars. And I think James Corden and Tom Hanks is like he's early front runner. And Bruins fan.
Tom made Chet, so there's something in the genes.
Oh, Chet Hayes. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
He'll throw down.
Good
Bruins
point.
fan 1144 writes, how much of this would have been prevented if Nick Cage had been nominated for Pig? I agree. That could have solved. That's a real multiverse splinter
That's
there
right.
where we would be in paradise. Okay, so the rest of the show happened. Any while I bring the script back up, any other highlight like weird moments you want to talk about first before we talk about the actual winners?
I mean, can we talk about the Flash enters the Speed Force?
Please do. I mean,
Because
where were you when the Flash entered the
if
Speed
this
Force?
slap hadn't happened, that would have been how I wanted to leave.
Actually, let's just speak overall briefly about like the tone and feel and vibe of the show. The brand new Oscars for kids with BTS and Speed Force. What do you think, Eric?
I mean, yeah, it was annoying. There was an entertaining train wreck quality to it. I'm putting the slap aside, which obviously went like into an insane level. But yeah, first of all, the irony of the fact that they did all these things to try to make like a tighter, cooler show, and then it was longer than the last two Oscars.
Yeah, so long.
It was super annoying. And the categories they put in the pre-show, and then they put snippets of the acceptance speeches. It still said live, which wasn't true. And then the fan voting thing, which was hysterical. The Army of the Dead winning the favorite movie. The Flash enters the Speed Force. The fact that a Johnny Depp movie no one had heard of was in the top 5. They reap what they sow. So there was a lot of like, just like, what are you guys doing here? And there wasn't so many, sort of silly, a couple funny bits, but mostly bits. And I'm like, why couldn't we have just watched those other awards be given? Why are we doing this at this moment? So I don't think that stuff worked.
I agree with you on a lot of that. That you don't talk about Bruno thing was perplexing because first of all, obviously that wasn't the song that was nominated. So that's weird, but I get it because it's the crowd pleaser. It starts off great. And then Megan Thee Stallion comes in, whomst I love, but whomst had no reason to be there. And then, so she comes in, she does a rap that is
about the Oscars.
Related. Yeah, and then they just make it about the Oscars, and now the song is about the Oscars when they could have just done the song that we all like and it would have been a crowd pleaser. That moment very much reminded me of that one terrible Oscars where it opens with like Snow White or whatever.
Oh, Rob Lowe and Snow White.
Yeah, that's very much what that kind of reminded me of, where it's like, we know we're here. That's something that you do in the beginning of the show. That's something that you do like a pre-tape where it's like, and now it's the Oscars. Like, you don't do that during the ceremony. I thought it was odd.
Yeah, that was so strange. The beloved song from a beloved movie that I was excited to see. Oh, the cast is going to do We Don't Talk About Bruno. And then it was like, they'll do half of it. And then it just veered off into a whole other thing.
Yeah, I'd say overall, it felt like kind of like a People's Choice Award, between the fan favorite countdowns and the way that they kind of put these categories off the broadcast, but still in. Like, if you're gonna cut them. Like, that was just weird and disturbing. Of like, they just trimmed the 20 seconds of them walking, and I guess maybe they made some like ghost edits. Like
they did. Sometimes they cut like if 2 people accepted. Like Riz Ahmed just didn't. He had a person accepting with him for short, but that guy didn't make the cut.
Yeah, there's just a very sweaty, please like us energy to the Oscars that, is beneath the dignity of an already pretty stupid show. So, and then most egregious of all, if you're going to cut this stuff and like make it, more broadcast friendly and try to appeal to the kids or whatever, then you can't be longer than the last 5 years of Oscars. You have to make, I thought the whole point was to make it shorter, and it ended up like 3:28 or something like that. And sure, 5 to 10 minutes of that is Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. But beyond that, like, if you're gonna cut. I was annoyed. Kim, what do you think?
Well, there was that weird bit with Wanda Sykes touring kind of Oscars history, wasn't there? And I mean, the one bit I enjoyed in that was the orc that she compared to Harvey Weinstein. But yeah, there was some other interesting bits that I wanted to bring up, which was Regina Hall assembling the single guys on stage and feeling up Josh Brolin and Jason Momoa. Very strange.
Yeah, they like kept. I think they kept teasing that Jacob Elordi, that he was going to show up like 3 different times. Like,
yes.
How horny am I supposed to be for Jacob Elordi? Because this broadcast assumes I'm really excited to see this guy.
But that Regina is horny bit was already like, it had a couple of chuckles. It was also a little and then the fact that it kept going when Brolin and Momoa came out, I was like, well, A, this is just dragging out a joke too long, and B, it's definitely taking it to uncomfortable territory with her. Like, it's funny that she's groping him. That was a very, very strange choice.
Yeah. So some other moments that stuck out in my head before we talk about the actual winners. I thought it was like actually kind of a metaphorical slap of Kevin Costner talking about how he had to watch movies, uphill in the snow, and like he had to walk 6 miles to the theater with just a raw stick to chew on for sustenance, and it changed his life and made him want to do the pictures and stuff like that. And Jane Campion's like, thanks, Kevin. That was very dramatic. And you can see on his, that was more painful than the slap for me. You see his face just kind of fall. He's like very awkwardly looking down, like, wow, is my life a joke? Like, that was brutal.
It also went on for, wasn't he talking for like 3 hours? I don't like that's in that.
But I kind of needed it to decompress from the slap.
It's a very deliberate cadence. Ellie Werner says the Bond anniversary thing was why. Well, I enjoyed it because I like Bond stuff, but you're right. Why was it there? And it did give us. I think Rami Malek should just never do straight to camera video. Between this and that Orient Airlines commercial, I think it is. Wow.
But also just that was a weird choice. Like, okay, a lot of us were like, why not bring out all the surviving Bond actors? But say that wasn't even available. Who knows? Why not have Rami Malek and the song be part of the tribute? Like, why have, like, here's a montage of clips, and then way later in the show, we're going to do the song from the new Bond movie. I just don't understand why you couldn't have made that one segment and why, like, take more time with it both.
I mean, I get having an actor up there, but just like have someone who doesn't have like 1,000-yard stare when he's like looking into the camera. And I do like, I think that's just, he's an intense dude. And when he feels like moments are very important, he's like trying to make sure that we feel how important it is. And instead I'm just like, blink.
Yeah, blink, please blink. There's a difference between acting and hosting. They're definitely different skill sets, as James Franco and Anne Hathaway discovered. So a lot of people talk about the Seattle KO, and others talk about the uncomfortably upbeat In Memoriam. I thought it was fun.
It was, look, someone said this, I forget who who said it, but it felt more like a Black folks homegoing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, than like an In Memoriam. It was definitely like more in the tradition of a lot of like a Louisiana funeral, like a NOLA funeral. It was like that kind of thing where it's like we're really sad, but we're celebrating their life instead of like so that was, I think that confused a lot of people. But for me, I was like, yeah, that's a funeral.
Yeah. And what threw me though was the fun fact that Bill Murray had about Ivan Reitman in the middle of it, where I'm like, is he doing a bit? Like,
I thought more people were going to come up and just start giving like weird fun facts about people in the In Memoriam.
Yeah, it was like, to Bill Brasky. Like, he wants.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't. Yeah, conceptually, I think having it be like a celebration is not bad and kind of like nice, but it was weird framing wise, just literally the fact that we're like watching the dancing people and the people's images are behind them. So you're kind of missing it. But also the fact that by having these moments for Sidney Poitier, Ivan Reitman, and Betty White, it makes a weird thing of like, but these are the more important deaths. And it's just, so it becomes a strange thing. So I wasn't against them being like, let's celebrate everyone. But it's just sort of strange the way they actually did it.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all the show behind the show. Should we talk about movies briefly?
Is that what the night was for?
Yeah, I guess. We could talk about Liza Minnelli. Like that was props to Lady Gaga for handling that. I felt bad that I was so happy to see her, and then quickly felt bad that they put her out on stage. I feel like someone probably should have made the call that she wasn't ready for that. But Gaga did some nice dancing on her feet to smooth that over. That was like a very sweet human moment, I thought.
I thought Liza Minnelli seemed cool with it. So
yeah.
It seems like Lady Gaga is just a very, very nice, legend, as she should be. I thought that was so. Yeah, I agree with you, Spencer. Like it was like, oh, I don't know if Liza was up for this, but then Gaga kind of made it sweet.
And then I guess in the future, can the Oscars ever do a like online poll without just getting bombed by Zack Snyder fans? No,
right?
It's
gonna be Bodie McBoatface every time.
Bodie McBoatface. Bodie McBoatface taught us nothing.
If they could have voted for Sucker Punch this year in all categories.
Well, like I suggested that they allow the fan favorite vote, but then the Academy chooses the winner from the selection.
That's interesting.
The finalists, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Sucker Punch or Guardians of Ga'Hoole. Those are your choices, Academy. What's it going to be? All right, so some people actually won some awards. I mean, I think that, is there anything that popped out to people? Because I just want to talk about Best Picture first off, and then you can pick and choose among the remains. But wow, Coda, a lovely film. And a lovely answer to the trivia question: what won Best Picture the year Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? This one was a good. That was a really nice moment when everyone did that for the applause. So, look, I have nothing against this movie. I thought it was a lovely, sweet movie, but this is definitely in the King's Speech category for me. Of like, yeah, that was a nice film that is now going to be considered overrated because it won Best Picture. Where I think it's like the curse of the Best Picture in this case. But what do you guys think about Coda when taking home the top award?
I kind of knew that it was like, I think I talked about it on our Oscar show, but yeah, like I felt like I knew that one was going to be a possibility. Sometimes you just want something really heartwarming. You just do, especially if you've just spent a lot of time inside. So I completely get it. I do. I really like that movie. I liked it a lot. It wasn't my favorite of the nominees of this year, but it's one where it's like, I get it. It's a good movie. But I agree with you, Spencer, where it's gonna have that on its head the whole time, and people are gonna be like, well, it wasn't that good and it was super overrated. But it's like, guys, we could have got Don't Look Up. Like, let's
we could have had Dune, Danielle. We could have had Dune.
Amazing. It won all of those. This movie that apparently
annoying.
Wasn't a movie.
That is so
won
annoying
all of these
that
awards.
Denis wasn't nominated, considering it won every other technical award. Not that directing is just a technical job, but I feel like it would have been a favorite. Well, not a favorite against Jane Campion, but I thought Power of the Dog was going to win Best Picture a month ago. So things change.
That's the main thing. Like a month ago, Power of the Dog really seemed like the front runner, and then it just felt like Coda kind of crescendoed at the right time. Like I literally think it was maybe because it was like one of the last movies the voters were watching, and they're like, "Oh, this is sweet. I like this."
Yeah.
And so it just literally seemed in like the last 2 or 3 weeks, it started to win some other awards, and suddenly I just felt like, I like the movie. It's a nice movie. It's a good movie. I'm not like, oh my god, yes, Coda, but I wasn't mad about it, So it's just kind of, it is. I do want to mention though the fact that it's the first movie from a streaming service to win Best Picture, only because Netflix must be going crazy over that. They've been trying for years. They've had many nominations. They've won in other categories. They won this year for Jane Campion, but they haven't been able to get a Best Picture. And then Apple just comes in and is like, and they bought this movie at Sundance, and they're like, we got it. So that has to be a funny little Netflix being thwarted again. They're going to keep trying.
Yeah. Tim Cook was there. You think the fix was in? Think he knew? You think he flies to Los Angeles for anything less than a sure thing? Leaves his bubble?
iPhones for everyone. I don't believe that's what happened, guys.
Kim, how do you feel about the Best Picture?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my choice for Best Picture. I'm with you, Spencer, with June all the way, but I didn't think that was going to win it. And I'm okay with this winning it because I think like Coda, it's is one of the only films there, I think, that feels really authentic, and it's down to earth, and it's made with love. And I don't think it was ever made, you know, with Oscars in mind. And yet they've made this, yes, uplifting film that is perfect for our times, which is great, and a good reason to reward it. And you know, it spotlights relevant themes like you know, sidelined minorities, and this issue around that we've had both over here and over there recently with Kim Kardashian, that was raised with Judi Dench in the ceremony actually, and a woman called Molly May over here who won Love Island, who both kind of said, we've all got the same 24 hours in the day, work hard, people. And it kind of addresses that too, right? How we don't all have the same 24 hours in the day. We don't all have the same chance to succeed. And yes, she does kind of succeed at the end of this film, but she's an exception.
Yeah. You know, I'm obviously a great message behind the film. And I think that, I guess I'm just not used to Oscar winners or Best Picture winners being so, I would say, wholesome and just like straightforward. I feel like if this were a movie just about deaf fishermen, I would be like, oh yeah, that's an Oscar movie. But this just felt like just a sweet night at the theater.
Nice family movie.
Yeah, nice family film. Okay. Anything else? What other awards? We'll just recap real quick. Best Actor Will Smith. We talked about that, obviously. Jessica Chastain for actress. Troy Kotsur for supporting actor. Ariana DeBose for supporting actress. All that's chalk. Like, that's no surprises there. Those are all the betting odds-on favorites. I think they all make sense. Same with Jane Campion for director. So yeah, this was aside from Will Smith again fighting Chris Rock on stage. It's a pretty by the book Oscars, no? Or were any awards actual surprises to you guys?
I was surprised just by the fact that Kenneth Branagh had never won an Oscar before. When they threw that out. I just would have assumed he got one at some point. So that
8 nominations, they said, didn't they? And
yeah, that was wild. And then I guess the shutout for Don't Look Up, you know, what a shame. You hate to see it. That's that I guess that was a surprise, right? I was ready to quit my line of work if it won screenplay, but it didn't. So here I am. Yeah, nothing else popped out awards wise.
Ariana DeBose, I believe is the 3rd or 4th Latinx person to, I think, win that award. So that's dope.
And as they pointed out, for a role that's one of the only other same character, was one of the only other times someone won.
Yeah. Also, also Black, also super queer. So I got wore pants. It was pretty dope. It was between her and Kristen Stewart. It was a good time for the gays. Just fantastic. But yeah, no, everything else seemed pretty, you know, I'm of course Encanto won, but I was pulling for Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Sure.
But I knew that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, when you look at all of it, I mean, none of it, there's nothing in there that shocked me. Even if it was one where I was like, oh, maybe I thought this other thing had more of a chance. I wasn't shocked, you know, it's pretty, you know.
Avatar fan Uno writes, the introduction and jokes for Best Animated Feature were disrespectful. I don't recall what those were. Does anyone remember?
Well, and Phil Lord tweeted about this, some other people, just that there was, that they were, it leaned into a very like, oh, these cartoons that we have to put up with because our kids like them, right? That was just very sort of like, hey, what are we doing here, guys? Like, animation's an art form, and aren't we just, why are we like throwing this stupid, like, it's for kids and it's annoying. It's very outdated, and at the Oscars felt like a really lame joke in it. So I agree.
Right. I thought that also Last Duel caught a stray bullet.
What the hell?
That was harsh out of nowhere. That was a good movie.
But between G.I. Jane, The Last Duel, and House of Gucci, it was like daggers out for Ridley Scott movies.
Yeah. He's trying to make something original. Sorry.
Right. I was mad about that because I love The Last Duel. I'll say, Ariana DeBose and Troy Kotsur gave great, like, very lovely speeches. And in no way was I surprised or angry that Encanto won. I love Encanto. I wanted Mitchell versus the Machines to win, but I thought it had a chance. I felt it won a lot of the other awards, but not in no way, I think, is anyone surprised Encanto won.
Yeah, I think we all got like once Spider-Man or Into the Spider-Verse kind of like got in there, we were all like, we found a crack. Maybe something else.
Crack in the
there,
Disney.
Yeah. Any outfits? I just want to talk briefly about Wesley Snipes' formal burgundy tuxedo that he could also play pickup in, which I thought was perfect for White Man Can't Jump.
Well, which is great because Timothée Chalamet came dressed as Prince, so they can get a game going.
Yeah, between Chalamet and Kristen Stewart, skin is in. Wow.
Well, people said combine them and you had a full suit.
Hey, there you go.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what other ones. There were actually like some really good outfit choices. I tweeted about it. I made fun of it. Nicole Kidman is a beautiful lady, but her dress looks like when you get to the end of the toothpaste tube, where it's just like a bunch of globs down here and then just flat right there.
It was like a shelf for her drinks.
Yes. Cigars, cigarettes. And then also there was that trend, which went very terribly for one person, of the Mickey Mouse ears on the boobs was like interesting, just like that weird cut,
right? Yeah, okay.
That everybody had. Which again, someone's boob tape gave up halfway, like gave up towards the end of the ceremony.
Like Chris Hemsworth Evans holding a helicopter to a building.
Oh yeah, wasn't that? Didn't they say the reason that they cut to that Oscars logo during Will Smith's speech was because I think Venus Williams was having a little slip happen.
100%.
Just to add an extra layer to the weirdness going around Will Smith.
I thought because like the VO, he's talking about like I spit. I hope nobody saw that. And I'm like, wow, they're cutting away from him spitting. Like that's
well,
that's
they kept cutting to her. And it was very noticeable. So finally someone was like, can we stop? Can we not?
Nipple alert.
Oh, I do want to mention Kelly Marie Tran, who was there because of Raya's nomination, looked great in this like traditional Vietnamese gown. She looked awesome. Nice. I know she didn't speak during that. She wasn't the presenter, but she stood out on the red carpet.
All right. I feel like that's all we have to say, or all I personally have to say about an evening that will be otherwise forgotten. But man, we'll be making slap jokes for we think a week to 10 days until the next chapter, until the next Red Table Talk.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm doing in my free time now is looking up hot takes. So
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. You found some hot takes, Danielle. Do you want to share any of the best or worst you found?
Oh my. Okay. So aside from everybody making everything about themselves, I also found, I bookmarked them because these are so funny. There was one that was, if only Will Smith got as upset when white men take away his right to vote. And then of course, Judd Apatow was basically like, he could have killed him. And then he deleted it because it was the dumbest thing in the world. Which else? There was one. I think that might be a parody account, so I'm not going to say that one, even though it's really funny and everyone's been talking about it. There was another one. Someone wrote an article, "The Will Smith Doctrine, Reward in Return for Aggression, has no place in the resolution of the Ukraine war."
Oh,
I saw that one.
That's a hot take.
Yeah,
that's a good take.
That's spicy.
Yeah.
That's very, very spicy. I think that's, and then someone compared it to like Putin and someone compared it to like 9/11. It was
on a long enough timeline, everything becomes Putin or 9/11 on the internet. All right. We got some good questions coming in, some things that we overlooked to speak on. Scotty D says the hosts were fine, but could have used fewer monologues. I feel like, the hosts were kind of overshadowed. I actually thought Amy Schumer was very good. And the three host thing worked for me well enough. It wasn't like distracting. It just was very overshadowed. And I feel like if not Chris Rock, like they should have sent Amy Schumer right out there. It was like 19-20 minutes before a host got to come back out. And that's what you want for live television, is like somebody to come up there and react to what just happened without waiting till the next day, like us schmucks.
Oddly, like again, the sort of odd hate, like I was mentioning, like the Bond thing and how they could have combined it. Like the opening was weird because I like all three of these women, but why do a sort of triple monologue with all three of them, and then like 5 minutes later, Amy Schumer did a very funny monologue on her own. But I was like, can't you space this out? Like, why are we watching like a monologue on top of a monologue? So yeah. And like you said, I mean, when they did have Schumer come out and obviously make a hastily written joke about what did I miss, it was funny, but that was a long gap of awkward of not addressing what was happening in that room.
Benz10 says, so everyone forgot the La La Land oopsie with this. I mean, this has to be, I don't think this is recency bias. This has to be the number one, like biggest derailment of an Oscars ceremony, I guess.
I don't think people forgot about it, but it just falls to number 2, right?
It reminds me more of the Kanye Taylor Swift. Like, I think that is the last one of these, but that's the VMAs. I know it's not the Oscars, but that's the moment that I think this matches, and I think maybe people forget how much that took over everything for like that whole year was the Kanye interrupting part. Yeah. I think there's a huge gap between this and them flubbing the announcement of what won Best Picture. But we'll see. Time will tell. And then Levetto says no Beyonce talk. Yeah, they did. That was nice. They opened a show with Beyonce. And a salute to either Tennis or Green Screen Studios. Couldn't quite tell.
I love
when in doubt.
Tennis ball yellow.
Yeah. When in doubt, go with Beyonce. I think it's a safe way to open your show, I think. It's a good song, so why not? Anything else? Let's see. Karen Stepko writing, I love Tiffany Haddish and Simu Liu. Remind me, what was their moment?
It was kind of cute. Like, I think that there was a little bit of like flirty back and forth, and then she was like, you're from Canada, and then they were like trading French stuff back and forth, and she was like, I didn't even know France was in Canada. And like, it was kind of cute. They had a cute little back and forth. They're both funny people, so that's like easy.
I'd watch that buddy road trip movie. Yeah. And then Red Robinson, Lupita during Will Smith's outburst looked like Mike Myers when Kanye West said Bush doesn't care about black people. Lupita gave great reaction face, I gotta say. And Nicole Kidman, providing us with another gif after she did the weird dolphin hands clap a few Oscars ago. Now she has another one.
Yeah, because we didn't get, people were falsely sharing that great the barrage of all the reaction shots when the wrong movie was called a few years ago. They were acting like it happened last night.
Yeah.
But they didn't get that kind of coverage. So Lupita and Nicole really had to carry that, and they both did well with the reaction faces.
Good times. Well, I think that about does it for the Oscars this year. What do you think? Should we just split this into part 2 for tomorrow?
No, we got trailer commentaries.
Fine. We'll do that. But look, this is still very fresh, so I'm sure the takes will keep rolling in, and we'll maybe form our thoughts into something more coherent and more expansive. What does this have to do with Ukraine and Putin and 9/11? Danielle and Kim and Eric will have all that and more this Wednesday's SJU. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.